I'm very honored to be here on behalf of the Connecticut Hospice, which has got close to 400 patients under our care in the state of Connecticut, both at home care and in hospice in Branford. And I'm happy and very honored my team is with me here today. Reverend Godbolt of our spiritual care. We have our APRNs, Kathleen Knopper and Marianne Pfeiffer, and the Director of Arts and Music, Catherine Blossom. As you know, palliative care is most effectively delivered by a team. Without the team, it would only be straight old medical care, and we need the team to do the job properly. We're honored to be here and to stand with the advocates for the disabled in this matter of Bill 5326. We're a very diverse group, and we share very important positions, three in number. Number one, we're all about the relief of suffering and symptoms and the keeping of people's dignity. We realize, and I realize, especially as a physician with 40 years experience, that we have not spent as much of our energy and time on the management of symptoms and family pain as we have on the mechanisms of illness. That is going to be changed, and the palliative care initiatives will bring that to be. And we all share the burdens of chronic illness, which sometimes seem endless, slowly progressive, and very, very taxing to the individuals and the caregivers. And we acknowledge the concerns of the bill's proponents in the attempt to relieve suffering. However, we must differ with them on the means. It's been shown, I think, in multiple studies that properly administered palliative care and hospice care, which is a subset of palliative care is a much bigger concept, can effectively provide relief from fear, anxiety, and pain, dyspnea, nausea, delirium. In occasional cases where we don't do a good job controlling the symptoms, we can, of course, use medications more aggressively if the patient and family are agreeable to reduced alertness and increased somnolence. And I now refer to people who are very ill toward the end of their journey. I do not refer to disabled people who function magnificently and almost miraculously in this world. This is not about that particular set of difficulties. Our goal in palliative care is the comfort of the patient and the family, and by our methods, occasionally life is prolonged. More often than not, its duration is unchanged, and it's rarely shortened by our interventions. I've worked for the Connecticut Hospice now for 7 years. We admit approximately 1,400 people per year to the inpatient facility, and I can tell you I have had assisted suicide conversations with fewer than 5 individuals, both inpatient and in our home care, where our census averages about 300 patients. It's clear that relief of symptoms almost always ends the discussion dismissively, that patients do not particularly look for or value a legalized form of self-destruction. In this way, we can honor patients' wishes and do a good job. Second, the bill itself, which I've examined and have great help from Catherine Blossom, is filled with some unclear language and inner contradictions. Section 3D suggests, for example, that an extended care facility where the patient resides shall designate a witness for the planned death. But then it says that the facility owner shall not participate in any of these decisions. This is odd. Section 6.4 refers to a consultant confirming the end of life or terminal diagnosis by the attending physician. But we lack certainty in these decisions. We can never have certainty about this. We have all seen in inpatient hospice patients recover. 20 to 25% of our patients in Branford go home or go elsewhere, to our immense surprise and pleasure. In a grave matter of this kind, we should try for certainty rather than a mere preponderance of probability, but we can't attain it, and therefore the decision to do these things is flawed from the beginning. 6B, most woundingly to me, legalizes the falsification of a death certificate by forbidding the entry of assisted suicide as the cause of death in these individuals. We are enjoined by the Act to put down the diagnosis that made them ill in the first place, but not to refer to what we have done. This will cause endless difficulties with the medical examiners, with lawyers, with the insurance companies, annuities providers, many of which are voided or canceled in the case of suicide. 11D of the law of the bill assures us that no such difficulty will occur, but I simply can't accept that. I think that's not workable. Insurance companies have influence and power, they have skillful lawyers, and they will look very carefully at this. Finally, 15C forbids any public agency in Connecticut to refer to this procedure as suicide or assisted suicide, but enjoins all of our agencies to refer to it as aid in dying. 16B ordains that actions from this bill do not violate sections 53A and 56 of the Health Code or the Penal Code, which enjoins us from providing means of self-destruction to another person or facilitating suicide. But in fact, it does violate it. How could it not? The one that caught my attention first and most bothers me is that, and the second one is the falsification of a death certificate, which violates the license I hold from the state of Connecticut Department of Health to practice. Finally, a reflection of mine is that good laws tend to make us behave ourselves. They don't force us to, but they make us think about prudence and integrity in our social lives. We protect children from alcohol and drugs by law. We do that all the time. We protect lives and property. And by making laws, we kind of acknowledge that a utopian perfection in this dark world is not attainable. We wish we could abolish individual suffering by any means, but I believe the impulse to support assisted suicide offers a narrow and dangerous solution to a problem with profound and widespread cultural effects. We don't live alone, thank God. We are members of civil society. We have families, we have kinships, we have friendships, we have new friendships. And we are responsible to one another for what we do. I can tell you, having seen patients for so many years, that people who are suffering, anxious, and agonized will change their goals and change their wishes even from day to day. The idea of ascending to someone's death will divide us, will divide families, and often bitterly and permanently. If I provide my patient with a means of death on Monday, would he have changed his mind on Tuesday? But he's gone on Tuesday. He is now a citizen of death's gray land, in Wilfred Owen's phrase. And he has no more shares in time's tomorrows. About the survivors, they will have compassion fatigue and burnout and stress, shared pain, and the death so planned may give them an ambivalent mix of relief from their labor and also economic gain, even as their bereavement deepens and gets more complex. Many will feel guilt about what they have gained, and many will doubt the right of what they did when they try to sleep at night. Some attempts to use the power of the state and the laws to improve our lives and society certainly work. I was a young man in 1964, and now in 2014, I'm an old man. But the history of civil rights legislation has been a good one for America and a proud one. It's completely incomplete. We haven't finished our business yet. But when I look back to when I was a kid and first went south in this country, it's hugely different. And it's from good initiatives by the people of both parties and all parties saying, we've done badly on this. We need to fix this. This is terrible. And it's been fixed, and it's going to be fixed even more. On the other hand, state power for what appear to be social ends can lead to horror beyond imagining. Witness the Nazi Nuremberg laws and then all that followed their enforcement. And those who deny a slippery slope in this matter are deceiving themselves and putting us all in danger. There is a slippery slope. Germany was a civilized, advanced country for many, many years. The horrors that they inflicted on the people of Central Europe still resonate 75 or 80 years later today. So I conclude that the burdens of this bill outweigh any benefit. To make it work, you will need to scatter and shatter the renowned role of my profession of medicine in this society, all to pursue a mirage that death can always be made free of all suffering for all involved. The central error is the familiar one of throwing out a good work for the illusion of a perfect one. Families and friends will be divided by these choices, and the clinicians who participate will be uneasy and will feel their own dignity ebbing into self-doubt. The weak remedy of legality will not relieve the pain of their moral failure. So I will oppose this bill, and if it's passed, I will seek its repeal, and I will not obey it, and I will urge my fellow physicians and APRNs, who will make their own decisions, of course, to disobey it also, in defense of the sick, in defense of the disabled, in defense of ourselves, and all of our deep convictions. And thanks much.